So now this is the country that's on the cutting edge. It's the new Statue of Liberty. It's the new shining city on a hill. It's where people are coming to enjoy freedom, is El Salvador. It's, first of all, it's very, very, very safe. It's almost too safe. You get a greater chance of being mugged by trans at Disneyland than getting stabbed in El Salvador.
Well, that's true. But you have to come to this event to check out. You know, El Salvador is really like what I always imagine Florence would have been like. You know, Bitcoin is that space, right? Because when you look at Florence, you're like, how the fuck did all these people come together? How did Botticelli and Da Vinci and Michelangelo and all those architects and all those discoverers, the age of discovery, like how did all those people come together? There was like 40,000 people in Florence. Like, how the hell did they end up in one spot on Earth at one place and one time? And of course, they had the perfect money first, right? They had the florin. And it was gold, but gold had been around for thousands of years. But what the Medici family did was, mint it into something that was a brand, something that was, and people could trust immediately. A merchant from Florence would go to North Africa to buy herbs or spices or fabrics, and they would show up in the Medina, and the guy would see the florin and say, I know what that is. I don't need to weigh it and figure out if it's fake or any of that other stuff. Just give me that one and you get my best product. Here, take the best product. And, it became a circle of excellence, right? It was like a feedback loop of excellence. And so the Florentine merchants had the best product and returned to the city with the best product. And Florence became the city of the best products. And so it attracted the best people, and the best people started to congregate, and the best people had all the money, and the best people were like, hey, Da Vinci, I'll give you some money. Why don't you go paint something? Paint a Mona Lisa. Hey, Michelangelo, why don't you go build a statue in the square? And Max and I, by the way, had predicted this on our show, on the Orange Pill podcast, like 2 or 3 years before this, that Bitcoin, if it were adopted by a state, could turn that place into a Florence in the same sort of process of perfect money, attracting the best and brightest, and the best and brightest building the most amazing place, right? Just like the most amazing people, the best and brightest built this PubKey, right?
Yeah. Well, again, getting to Florence, right? It's an aesthetic. And the perfect money gave trust for that exchange around the world. And then artists decided they wanted to be at the center of this aesthetic movement. And they went to Florence and they created the Renaissance. And it was because they had this very trustworthy and perfect florin, this unit of account, this money. And this gave the confidence to build sustainable wealth, which then generated patrons of the arts, like the Medici family, who then, turned on the various artists of the era. And we see this type of congregation of artists happening around all the time, right? We had New York in the 60s and early 70s, right? Was a very global art center. We had the Andy Warhol years, and we had the Soho, and that was fantastic because it was cheap, attracted a lot of artists. At Berlin in 1990, before all the Berlin Wall, you had then a congregation of artists. And so artists would tend to flock toward where they can get together and exchange ideas freely without fear of kind of violence or without fear of retribution.
Mediocrity.
Without fear of mediocrity. And this generates an artistic thrust, an artistic movement, an artistic idea that elevates people's mindset and elevates the way people think, which gets us out of that funk, right? I mean, no doubt people are in a funk. No doubt people are really trapped in the mindset of mediocrity and backwardness. And when you have Bitcoin and you put it in a country like El Salvador, it becomes a real drawing card for artists and thinkers, and that's what we're seeing right now. So it's not overstating it to say that El Salvador can become the new Florence, and what we're seeing with Bitcoin there is really Renaissance 2.0, really. So I suggest everybody come down there and check it out and see for yourself. Don't trust, verify, right? Right? Am I right?